Welcome, everyone, to another Friday installment of YouTube Live with David Greene Real Estate. Mr. David Greene himself will be joining us in just a minute, but I hope everyone is doing well. Tonight, we are going to be talking about artificial intelligence, also known as AI, and what that impact might have on you, what that would have on the industry of real estate, whether you are a service provider, maybe you're a real estate agent, a property manager, a lender, an escrow officer, whatever you might be doing in the world of real estate, or maybe you're an investor. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence and what it means for you, and how you can potentially use it to make your life better, to put you in a better financial position. So we'll see you right here on the other end, and let's get started. Welcome, one, and welcome all. We got some people coming over right now. Looks like we had some people from Instagram, and they are moving over here to YouTube Live. Really excited to jump in and talk with everybody tonight. Here we are on Friday, February 10th. It's about 5:10 p.m. Pacific. Do me a favor. Let me know in the chat box where you guys are viewing from tonight. What are you doing? Let's definitely get that chat box excited and going here. Let's see. We have the Reiki Goddess 27 said evening. Good evening to you as well. Amy said, hey. Tim Keegan, a great guest that we had last week. Good to see you again, Tim. Says happy Friday. Anwar says happy Friday as well. Again, Reiki says happy Friday. Everybody's having a great Friday, which I'm glad to hear. Looks like we have Derek saying the peace sign. Love it. Who else do we have? In Kansas City tonight, Zachary says, but glad you could still make it. That's the beauty of YouTube Live, right? That's the beauty of the internet and streaming services is really we can all meet together from anywhere. It's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. Speaking of locations, look at this. We got a couple people representing in Phoenix. I see Amy saying she's in Phoenix, Arizona. And then I also see William says he's in Phoenix. I'm curious, are you guys there for the Super Bowl this weekend, or do you just happen to live there? It looks like Adriana as well. We have a lot of Phoenix people, which is kind of exciting, actually, because David's going to talk a little bit later about the retreat that he's putting on with him and myself and other members from our team that we are extremely excited about. Mike Russell's from Manteca, California. Lydia says she is from the Florida Keys. Great to see you. We love you too. Space Coast, Prudence, cool. We got Brighton showing up today. Oh, look at this, man. Mark's doing a staycation. Love it. He's a member of the mastermind, as is Mickey. Great to see you, my friend. Happy Friday to you as well. Alexis says hi. Adriana says no, she's hiding in her apartment all weekend. I would imagine right now in Phoenix, it's got to be getting like super, super, super crowded with tons of people. I've already seen a few like friends that I have that they've been like hanging out there all week, getting ready for the Super Bowl. So I'm sure it's super crazy. David said there's an easier way to invest than buying sub 2. Trying to figure that out. Maybe we'll talk about that tonight. Maybe we won't. And then we also have Mark, of course, from Eden, having a good time. Amy's checking out real estate while running another one of your business, getting it done. Very cool. And then Keegan Hovers from Michigan. So we are getting some really, really cool people here on the chat. So welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's super pumped and super excited for tonight's talk, but also for Super Bowl weekend. We're going to be talking about a lot of really cool stuff. Just out of curiosity, for those of you that are communicating in the chat, how many of you feel like, just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down emoji, how many of you feel like AI is going to be a good thing in terms of running your businesses, building your real estate portfolio, or building wealth? Do you think it's going to be something that's a positive thing, or something you're not looking forward to, something that could be really bad and have a detriment on the things that you're trying to accomplish? I'm really curious what you guys think about that. Okay, so Zachary says elbow cough. Jenna is giving a thumbs up. Very nice. Thumbs up from Omar. Daniel, thumbs up. Mary, thumbs up. Maria, NW Moms Invest, she says she likes it. Okay. All right. Looks like Derek, I hope I'm saying your name right, by the way. You're saying thumbs down. I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up, though. So it seems like a lot of people are into technology and welcoming this new technology. And I have to tell you, like, it is absolutely crazy. The how quickly this machine learning and artificial intelligence is. It's something I'm really passionate about. I get very geeked out about it, but it's also something I'm very, very excited about. And it doesn't sound like we have too many people that are worried about it, which will be interesting to see what you guys think. And also doesn't seem like we have many conspiracy theorists out there either. But overall, it looks like we're getting some pretty good feedback about it. So, with that, I'd like to get started with tonight's topic. I'm curious, David, can you hear me right now? Oh, we can't hear you, though. Or maybe I can't hear you.
There we go. That's always whenever I switch computers, I got to hit that button. Yes, I was able to hear everything. I was talking to the people on Instagram Live, getting them to join the party over here, like Mr. Derek Barton just did. I don't think you got a chance to talk to him, but he is a former Oakland A who was their first baseman for a while, an M&A's fan. So he's been trying the Pace Morby method of subject to, which everybody is trying. I mean, it's freaking fun to try, but also incredibly difficult. So he was like, there's got to be a better way. And he's hoping that we're going to talk about it tonight.
Hey, maybe we will, Derek. Maybe if we get some time, we'll get to chat a little bit about different ways and what how things compare to sub 2. So yeah, tonight we're really talking about, as Tim mentions in the comments here, we're talking about the Terminator. We are talking about artificial intelligence. We are talking about the technology that we see. I mean, everywhere you look right now, at least for me, when I open up my news feed, it seems like everybody's saying AI, AI, AI. Interestingly, David, a lot of the people here tonight are giving thumbs up, saying that they're actually not afraid of artificial intelligence. There's a lot of people, at least people that are maybe not brave yet enough to share that, hey, that's a concern of theirs. But overall, it seems like a lot of people are welcoming. I'm curious, just what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence? Is that something that you're afraid of?
Oh man, I think I am. I think I fall on the side of fear right now, to be honest. Not paralyzing fear. I'm not like angry mad, like I don't like taxes, but I don't let it like piss me off to where it ruins my day type. I'm not one of those, old man shaking his fist at the clouds, screaming, get off my lawn type of mad. The thing that I kind of feel about AI, remember when the internet was new? And we didn't quite know what to call it. Like, remember when it was called the information superhighway?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that phrase, right?
Yeah.
It was called the internet. It was called the web. Like, people would literally call it the World Wide Web. Like, if you didn't know what www stood for, that's what it was, right? And it was also called the internet, but no one really knew what it was to have an internet. I know some of you are probably young that you don't remember a time without one. Kyle and I are in that generation where the first, I think it was around 7th grade, where people started having the internet in their house. So we grew up without it, but then it didn't come along when we were so old we couldn't figure it out. The internet tubes or the inner tubes, exactly. So what I'm getting at here is we didn't know what the internet was. Like, we knew that you could look up cheat codes for Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo. We knew that you could stream music that you normally would have to buy in movies, that like you could get free stuff off the internet. It wasn't like Amazon was around. You weren't ordering stuff up. So the internet was different than what it is right now, is what I'm getting at. We didn't really know what it was going to turn into. All right. I don't think porn was like a huge problem on the internet when it was new. There might've been like a handful of places where that was a deal, where like, obviously that has exploded that industry into like multi, probably trillions of dollars. It's like probably the number one thing on the internet. So there are absolute dangers that can come out of things like this, right? I can't give a hard opinion on AI because I don't know what it's going to be. Right now, we're talking about it like it's cute. Like, remember, like, I think it was the movie Gremlins, where Gizmo would get wet and like little drops would come off and these cute little tiny things would come out. And you're like, oh, right. And everything's cute when it's young. And then they grow up into these terrors that just ruin the whole town. That's my fear with AIs. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I can make a logo. I can write copy. I can have my own book written, and we're all just going to play around with it. Like, this is really fun. And then just like the internet took over, and now you just like brick and mortar shops can't really exist anymore. Like, it changed almost everything. Like now you have to have an internet presence, right? And then maybe social media came because of the internet. That's another one. I don't really want to have social media. I don't like it, but you have to. So now your personality has to change in a way you don't want it to. You got to be more open. You got to be more engaging. I talk differently because of social media than what I used to do. And so I think AI is going to make those kind of changes, but even more significant. Like it could become something that I don't like, is what I'm saying. So I can't throw an opinion in there yet. I'm kind of holding it with a loose hand on if I'm afraid of it or if I'm excited about it. I think we have to wait and see how it ends up being used. But my guess is whatever we're calling AI right now is not what AI is going to turn into, much like what we called the internet is not what the internet turned into. How'd I do, Kyle?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So it's kind of like a two-edged sword. You're not gonna. It could come with its benefits, but it could absolutely come with its consequences. But it's also too soon to jump in and say, yeah, this is exactly what I think about it. This is what's going to happen and predict it. I think the biggest thing that I'm excited to see, but also a little bit scared to see when we talk about a two-edged sword, is the fact that the exponential growth and the momentum that AI can create, and that I'm already starting to see a little bit with some of these tools that are coming out, how quickly the machine learning actually happens. I think like in the next 2 to 5 years, like we're going to look back at probably at this recording and we're going to say, oh my gosh, the stuff we were talking about, we had no idea what we were talking about, because the things that we're dealing with at that time are going to be exponentially bigger than they ever were.
I wasn't talking, Kyle. Don't worry. I was letting you go. You know, somebody on my Instagram said, do you think it's going to replace realtors? And in that moment, I thought, I think it probably will. Like, I don't think it'll replace them in every scenario, but I think in many scenarios, the way of buying cars and houses is going to move less from person to person negotiating and more into like is it Carmax? Is that the name of the country that like, or not the country, the name of the company that you go into and you're supposed to not negotiate? What's that?
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, the Carmax is no haggle, but then there's Carvana, which is like it's like a vending machine where you just go pick the one you want. You go there and it comes down. So like
that one never took off. That's hilarious, right? I have seen that. It's like a big tube and like a car shoots out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to take off, but yeah, like Carmax, where it's like you go in and they're trying to systemize the way car buying is done.
Yep.
I think at some point that will happen for the majority of real estate. There will always be exceptions, like luxury real estate will probably be different and commercial real estate will probably be different, but just tract homes, stuff like that. Yeah. And then you don't need realtors. Then it's just going to be like AI walks you through how to write the offer. They explain how the contract works. You can ask it questions like, what am I going to do if I want an inspection? And it's going to answer your question. So I do see a world where realtors are replaced, but I don't think that's different than a lot of jobs. That's what I don't like about it, is like, human beings cause our own problems. You get a bunch of grumpy 17-year-olds or 34-year-olds that have a job of a 17-year-old working at McDonald's, and they have a bad attitude and they demand more. And so those demands turn into votes, which turn into increasing minimum wage. And then McDonald's goes, okay, I can either pay you $25 an hour or I can just buy a machine and I don't need you. And then we lose the job. Like humans do this stuff to ourselves all the time. Like, if anyone's ever been in a relationship with someone who's complained all the time about what they're not getting, so-and-so's husband does this for them, or like so-and-so's wife never does whatever. And then you just lose the person completely. There's like, okay, well, go be so-and-so's husband or whatever. That it can happen in a lot of ways. So I think AI is going to take out that low-hanging fruit. I think everyone's like, I don't want to use a kiosk because I have questions, right? But when they combine AI with a hologram, that's like a really attractive, sweet person who's like, hello, what would you like? I don't know. What are your specials? Right now, we have a buy one, get one free at McDonald's or whatever the case is. And now you are happy to use the kiosk. They get rid of the person. And then AI can monitor the fry machine better than the human can, right? It just dumps the thing into the oil, pulls it out when it's ready, spits it over. Now you don't need a fry person. Next thing you know, 2 people can run an entire McDonald's franchise. And so I think that is going to happen more often, which is why I give the advice you should run to hard. If you've been running away from hard, you've been running to easy, that's the stuff AI is going to take over first. So I'm sure we'll get into some of that today. But I feel good about real estate because AI can replace a lot of things in life, but it can't replace the view from a cabin at the top of the Smoky Mountains, surrounded by your friends and family with a roaring fire and some s'mores going on. It can't replace a condo at the beach, right? Like real estate still provides something that AI can't replicate.
Unless you're plugged into the Matrix and you got those little goggle things on. but that's a different kind of real estate. But like, yeah, have you seen those flipper things that they put in fast food restaurants now, where like, you know how in the past you used to have to take the fries out and move them in and dip them in and stuff? They actually have technology now that will flip all that stuff around.
That's what we get. Human beings complain a lot. Complaining does not actually get you anywhere. It may look like it does in the short term, but in long term, you just get replaced by someone that doesn't complain.
Yeah, and going back to your CarMax example too, I just wanted to give one quick story about my experience. So when I bought my Tesla a few years ago, I literally I didn't go, it wasn't your traditional car buying experience. I literally picked out the color that I wanted, the drivetrain that I wanted, the trim that I wanted, and I did it all online. And as soon as I did that, I just started getting text message updates, email updates the entire time. And I literally walked in the day that it was available, and it was waiting there for me. And I didn't even have to like really talk to anybody. And then a couple weeks ago, I took it in for service. And this was crazy. You drive up. So you know the old way you get your car fixed is you take it in and you go to the mechanic. You got to sit in the waiting room. You got to talk to him. You got to fill out a bunch of forms. I actually went and took this car, and you get there and there's a QR code, and you just scan the QR code and you walk away from it. It's keyless. It's touchless. You're not working with anybody. You're not having to do anything, and you're out of there. So it's been pretty cool to see how things have changed and how things have moved, because I literally got my car fixed and I got text message updates along the way. Never even talked to a service technician, never even talked to a human being. I just dropped it off and then left, and they actually gave me credits to use Uber. And then I drove back later in the day when it told me it was available. I picked it up, didn't have to talk to one person the entire time. And look at all the people that they're saving, all the salaries that they're saving, because technology is doing it for them.
And that is good when you're Tesla. And it's good when you're Kyle, because we probably don't want to talk to people either, because people aren't nice anymore. Right? It's bad when you're the person who wants a job and you're too old to learn how to code on a computer. And like the speed that AI is likely to progress at is going to put a big advantage to younger brains. Younger brains figure out new stuff quicker, right? Older brains have a harder time. You get that, can't teach an old dog new tricks. So it's going to make it harder for people that are older, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, who want to keep working. They're not going to be able to keep up with the opportunities. They could have been the person that works at Tesla that gives you good service, that's friendly, that solves your problem, but no one wants to do that. We are a bunch of entitled, selfish, spoiled is maybe a better way to put it than selfish people who've just had it easy for a long time. And so now we're all being replaced by computers, but that's okay, because we are going to talk about how AI can help us with real estate, which is one thing that cannot be taken from you. And I feel better than ever about investing your money there, regardless of what the economy does.
Awesome. So a couple things we're going to do. By the way, if you're just joining us, if you just got here from Instagram, make sure to hit that like button, but also hit that subscribe button, because that's going to get you the notifications that you need, especially when you hit that notification bell about when we do these types of talks. And so if you're getting some value out of this, if you're enjoying it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. But also, this is a live interactive show. We've got about 95 people, it looks like, watching right now. If you do us a favor, number one, share this with your friends, share this with other people so they can come on and watch it with us live right now as well. But in addition to that, you'll see a little ticker at the bottom of the screen, and there's a phone number, 833-777-0309. If you send a text message to that, I'll get to look at it. I'll check it out. We will see if we can get you on camera to come on live and ask your question related to tonight's topic, which is artificial intelligence and real estate. Maybe you've got a specific perspective that you want to share. Maybe you work in tech. Maybe you're from Silicon Valley, or you work for a big tech company, or you work on AI and you've got a perspective that David and I don't have. Send a text message to that number. We would love to have you come on and chat.
That's a great point.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to share my screen here, and we're going to watch 2 videos tonight and break them down from some different people that have had some different perspectives on real estate. One of them's from a little bit of a smaller influencer, but he's got some interesting points. And one of them's from a bigger influencer, Mr. Chris Crone, and he's got some interesting points as well. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and let's get this party started. There we go. All right, here we go.
when navigating the home buying process. First off, it's important to note that ChatGPT is a natural language processing model, so it doesn't have the same level of knowledge or expertise as a human real estate professional. That being said, there are a few ways that ChatGPT may be able to assist home buyers and investors during the home buying and investing process. One way is through the generation of reports. ChatGPT could potentially generate reports on real estate market trends in a specific location, including information on average home prices, sales volumes, and property values over time. This could be useful for home buyers who are trying to get a sense of the local market and how different properties compare in terms of value. This information could also be helpful for real estate investors who are looking for potential investment opportunities and want to understand the potential return on investment in a specific area. ChatGPT could also potentially generate reports on local economic conditions, including employment rates, income levels, and population trends. This information could be helpful for homebuyers trying to understand the long-term prospects for an area and whether it is likely to see growth or decline in the future. Economic conditions can also impact the demand for rental properties and the potential return on investment for real estate investors. In addition to market and economic reports, ChatGPT may also be able to generate reports on the condition of specific properties. This could include information on the age and condition of the home, the materials used in construction, and any potential issues that may need to be addressed. However, it's important to note that ChatGPT does not have the ability to physically inspect properties or gather data in the same way that a human inspector or appraiser could. While ChatGPT may be able to provide some useful information on the condition of a property, it's still important to have a professional inspection to get a more accurate assessment of the property's condition. In addition to generating reports, ChatGPT may also be able to provide general information about real estate markets and trends, as well as the real estate process itself. This could include information on the steps involved in purchasing a home, the role of real estate agents and brokers, and the types of mortgages and financing options available. This information could be helpful for homebuyers who are new to the process and want to understand the various steps involved in purchasing a home, as well as for real estate investors who are looking to expand their portfolio and need to understand the various options for financing their investments. Overall, while ChatGPT may be able to provide some useful information to homebuyers and real estate investors, it's important to remember that it should not be relied upon as a sole source of information or advice. The process of purchasing a home or investing in real estate is complex and requires a thorough understanding of the local market, economic conditions, and various legal and financial considerations. To make informed decisions about purchasing a home or investing in real estate, it is important to seek out knowledgeable and experienced professionals and to do your own research and due diligence.
Kyle, you want to go first?
Wait, I accidentally ended it just a little bit too soon. This is like the most important part. So there is more. Here we go.
And to do your own research and due diligence. So, did you figure it out? The text in this entire video was generated by ChatGPT. Pretty impressive, huh? I thought the information was pretty on point, but there was a lot of repetition of certain keywords that made the dialogue sound a little unnatural. So comment down below whether or not you could tell this video was written by a chatbot. And in all seriousness, it's going to be a while before AI replaces top-notch human real estate professionals, but it can be a very helpful research tool for prospective homebuyers and real estate investors. Now,
All right. So pretty tricky there, right? So first of all, well, go ahead, David. You look like you want to say something about that.
No, I don't know if I should be more mad at ChatGPT for tricking me or for you, because you're a trickster. And I was tricked.
We were all tricked, but I wanted to see if people were tricked, right? And I wanted people to kind of get that experience and get that feeling of, hey, listen, if people can make content and make YouTube and make YouTube videos and make words about things, absolutely, we can be duped by it. So we have to be smart. But I think he also brought up some good points, right? There are limitations. There's ways that absolutely AI can absolutely help with the home buying process. The first thing I thought of, David, when he was talking about this, he was talking about your core four, right? The fact that when you wrote long distance real estate investing, you said if you're investing in an out of state of market, right, you need your property manager, you need your agent, you need your lender, and you need who's the fourth one? Your contractor, right? And I absolutely think like AI can help with a lot of that market research, especially as long distance real estate investing has become so prominent these days. So I'm curious though, what are your thoughts on the points that the AI made in that video?
I don't like putting my comment on AI stuff. I feel like I'm building on an evil foundation here. The first thing I was thinking was, after he got done, when he said AI made this, I'm like, all right, this is obvious something that's going to happen more and more and more. People are going to put in Chat GPT, like, write me a book. This is what I want it to be, and then edit it. So I was like, all right, we should get used to familiar speech patterns. Like, eventually everything is going to start to sound the same. Because it's all going to be coming from Chat GPT or whatever Chat GPT evolves into, AI, I should just say, right? So you're going to get used to this like familiar pattern of over and over and over, this like calming, hypnotic speech pattern that you're just like hypnotized by, like the Cobra, you know, like what was it, Aladdin, I think, where he used his like staff to hypnotize people.
Eyes, yeah.
That's what we're all going to turn into. And then human speech is going to start to mimic AI speech. So we're going to learn people like it when you speak this way, not that way. And then we're all going to start to do it. And like, it's just going to make it so everyone could be hypnotized. So I didn't like that thought at all. But when he talked about it's going to be a while before it replaces top-notch real estate professionals, it will probably never replace top-notch anything, right? Because people are still going to have a thirst for authenticity and genuineness. So you're going to have the best of the best are going to be fine. My worry is all the people that are not as good. The people that have just like accepted mediocrity, which is I think this is the message that you and I have been preaching for like 3 years now. You got to pursue excellence. You have to fall in love with the process of becoming great. You cannot look for the easy way out, which is ironically what a lot of people think real estate is. Like, well, my boss is always yelling at me. I can't make more money. I just want to buy real estate so he'll get off my back and I could quit. Those are the ones that AI is coming after first, right? Like, we're all trying to climb this mountain as the waters below are rising and rising and rising. And now AI just makes them rise faster. So this is a call to arms. If you haven't been pursuing excellence, you should, because that's the position that these things are going to take over first off. But he made some good points about how maybe it can interpret your home inspection for you, or if you have questions, instead of like Googling a question, I think AI, you can search a question and then it might tell you, here's some other questions you should know too, right? Like, what does it mean if the electrical outlet doesn't work? Well, that's usually only a $75 problem. You just have to do whatever. But do you also want to know what it means if there's a leaky faucet? Do you also want to know what it means if there's a crack in the drywall? How to know if that's bad? And you probably get sucked into getting educated quite more frequently, which would take pressure off of agents or other people to answer those questions because they're already not good at doing that, and free them up to kind of focus on the negotiation element. What would be creepy is if you were like, all right, here's the address of the house, and AI could go look up, well, who owns it, search all their Facebook posts, search all their social media posts, search every email that it can see they've ever sent, and say, like, based on this person's personality and the weaknesses that I can find, here's the offer you should write. And by the way, I wrote you a letter that I think is going to pull on their heartstrings. And I took the liberty of pulling your own face off of Facebook and putting it onto this image that I know is like something that makes sellers like heartwarming. Like, if I can figure all that out and tells you what to do, then I'm just going to completely freak out.
Which honestly, I don't think we're that far from it. And we're going to see a little bit later, but like a lot of people in the real estate industry are already starting to utilize this. And by the way, for a lot of you that I'm sure most of you have heard by now what Chat GPT is. If you haven't, I'll fill you in on what that is. Chat GPT is essentially a language-based AI algorithm that it's got like, it's one of the most used websites in the world right now. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's activating it. If you haven't checked it out, you can go check it out. It's actually free to use. But the thing about ChatGPT is it's actually had the most signups, the fastest ramp up of online users than any other user-based website ever, right? Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, PayPal, whatever. It's had like the fastest. I can't remember what the exact number was, but it was like 1 million in like 2 days or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I think the fastest before it was Angry Birds.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, Angry Birds got to 1 million users in like 30 days, and ChatGPT did it, what, like 6 or something like that?
Yeah, it was like super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fastest to 1 million users, and tons of people are using it. Yeah, and I see right here Zachary used it to write one of his listing descriptions for his Airbnb, and we're seeing this already. A lot of real estate agents are starting to use it to write their listing descriptions, and there's just a lot of really good uses that people are implementing, which is pretty neat and exciting to see. But not to get too philosophical, because this is a wealth building talk and this is a real estate channel, but there was something also about that feeling of being duped by the AI that kind of reminded me. Have you ever seen like the movie Her, or the movie with Joaquin Phoenix where he like falls in love with the
His
AI?
computer,
Yeah, or Ex Machina, same kind of thing. Like there's almost this like psychological thing that it just feels I'm not saying we're going to fall in love with Chat GPT, but there's this weird like thing where it does kind of have a humanistic component. Even you, David, we're talking about he was saying as if it was a real person that said it.
Yeah, that our brains are wired to respond to dopamine. And so if this thing can hack into what makes dopamine or serotonin or different neurotransmitters release, then you get the feeling of being trusting it, or it's a person, and then you will act as if it's a person, which I think is the fear everyone has about AI, is we will start to humanize it. We'll start to act like it's a human because our brains have not adapted to figuring out how not to do that, which is, I think, where my fear comes from. But in the short term, yeah, like it's gonna, but here's the thing, like it's gonna write everybody's Airbnb listings at some point. Like everyone's gonna do that. Okay, I've optimized my Airbnb, but is it optimized when everybody is doing it? Now it's not. Now you don't stand out from anyone. Like every time humans make things easier, we think it's going to make our lives easier. It actually makes it harder, right? Because if you were good at writing that, you stood out from your competition, it was easier to get bookings for your listing. When every moron out there who's terrible at this, that doesn't study how to be good at Airbnbs, and they could just ask ChatGPT, what do I need to do in my listing to fix it? And it's like, oh, get these pictures taken, do this. By the way, here's the phone number of the photographer that you want to go take the pictures, and then bring them here and I will edit them for you to make them look as pretty as I can. And like everyone can do that. You lose your competition in the market. It also automates it. So now companies like Blackstone, they can come in, buy all the Airbnbs, have AI automate the whole process. And what normally was a thing that only mom and pop people could do because they had the time, they've been pushed out. Now it can be systemized. And so that's what I want everyone to hear. Like, this is not, oh, cool, AI is going to take care of it and it's going to do it for me. There's like a sense of urgency that I think we all have to develop here if we want to not get passed up by everyone else. Did we lose you, Kyle?
Oh, I guess you did on the camera.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure you're still here. Did your camera battery die?
I must have died. Yeah, I'll plug it in here in a minute. Yeah, really good stuff. Let's keep this conversation going. Do we want to talk about DG's World? Or you want to talk about it after the next?
No, let's talk about that quickly. So guys, because you're here with us live, you're getting something for free. I'm starting a Discord server that is going to be something people have to pay to be in, but you are going to be offered this for free just because you're here today. I'm gonna let Kyle figure out how we can get your info and add you there for free. But basically, if you've ever wanted to talk to a real loan officer, an actual real estate agent, an insurance agent, to ask questions about, like, I got a loan, I want a second opinion, or how does a DSCR loan work, or who was the person that was talking about wanting to buy in SoCal that was just here on the chat a minute ago? That was Devin, right? Devin, I appreciate that he's here asking questions, but what we're going to do is we're going to connect him with an agent. They're going to set up a call. Maybe Devin's like, oh, I'm not ready to buy, so I don't want to have a call yet. If you ever just wanted a place that you could just go ask somebody, what do you think about my deal? Where are people buying? What should I make about this news article that just dropped? And you don't want to have to wait for Friday nights to come on and talk about it on a live. You will have an option on Discord for, it's probably going to be like, it's going to be relatively cheap for most people, but for you guys, it'll be free, where you could talk to one of our loan officers, one of our real estate agents, one of our insurance agents. When the new insurance company that we're working on comes out, that's going to be called Full Guard Insurance. You want to know more about Spartan League, like whatever it is you got going on, we're going to have a community of people where you can go in and ask those questions and have someone respond right away, like within obviously awake hours, not sleeping hours. We're going to be posting the deals that we're buying or the deals our clients are buying. We're going to be talking about where the one brokerage clients are getting their deals at, what property they bought, how the rehab worked, what they're doing on Airbnb. Like, it'll be an exclusive kind of forum in a sense. So that is being created. It's close to being able to come out. I'm going to offer it for all the people that did a deal with either the David Greene team or the one brokerage. They can join for free. Other people, there's going to be a monthly fee to be in there, but we haven't launched it yet. So if you guys would like to get in now, you will come in, you'll be grandfathered in. You can be in there for free. Kyle, what do you think is the easiest way that we can have them reach out to us to get them added?
Absolutely. So I went ahead and created a Google form, and I'm going to drop that right here in the comments. And all you have to do is click that link, go in, put your name, your email address, and then we will get you access once it's up and live and ready to go, which should be probably within the next few days. But at least now, if you put your name on there, you'll be in that early wait list, and you will get early access, and you'll get it for free.
Yeah, so we can't add all of you specifically to the Discord, but if you can fill out that Google form, we'll have your information. When it launches, you'll be brought in for free. Then we'll put out an email to all of our other people. We'll get some people in there. We'll start talking some real estate. We'll get it built up, and then you guys can be grandfathered in. Everybody else can pay.
I love it. And our Kevin says, yes, this is very timely because we're talking about technology. And this is one way that we're leveraging technology to be able to share information about real estate, but also learn from industry experts basically at your fingertips whenever you want. And you'll be surprised, like a lot of these agents and these lenders and the other people that are in this community, they are quick, right? You get in there, you ask a question, they're going to get you the information. Then obviously Mr. David Greene himself is in there hanging out, and I'll be in there as well, giving some of my advice in terms of the real estate agent side of things. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Somebody here said, yeah, they're going to chat with an AI bot. Like, wouldn't that be something if we did a show on AI, told you guys to join this group, and then you were chatting with ChatGPT the whole time? That's not going to be the case. Like, I definitely, that thing cannot come up with analogies as good as me. I don't care who it is. It will never be able to catch me. I'll just adapt and evolve, and I'll stay I'll be like Neo in the Matrix. I'm not falling. I'm not going to be losing to agents. And you guys will be able to verify. We'll be like, it'll like take a picture holding up 3 fingers, and you'll see us in there doing this, taking a snapshot.
Yes. You want to hear something really, really scary? So for those of you that don't know, my past life, I was actually a speech therapist before I got into real estate, working with David. And as a speech therapist, I would work with clients that had ALS, right? A lot of people know it as Lou Gehrig's disease, and they would eventually lose the ability to talk and communicate, so much so that they would literally have to use little computers and use eye gaze. But a lot of these people, when they got diagnosed with ALS early on, they did not know how to, or they wanted to do what was called voice banking. And so voice banking, they'd literally have to sit down and read all these long phrases for hours upon hours upon hours, literally like 45 minutes long, to create, they'd be reading phrases like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, great. Now you got to say it in a higher pitch. The quick brown fox jumps over, and they had to do it for hours. And then it would finally get put into this like little iPad looking computer box, but it would sound like the computer robot type thing. And it never sounded real. Here's the scary thing. There's actually this website, I think it's called 11 Labs. And all you have to do is upload one short file of yourself talking, and then it basically has your voice banked. And obviously, the more data you feed it of that voice, but I did it with mine just for fun. I literally just took one little YouTube video that I was on, plugged it in there. It sounds like exactly like me. It is scary. So that whole like idea of people potentially being able to use your voice or deep fakes, like there's going to have to be a blue check mark somehow
for everyone. I was just thinking that, because like if you're like, hey David, I want to do something that you're doing, how do you verify that it wasn't one of my scammers if they can make their voice sound like me?
Yes.
Oh, this is why I don't love AI.
But that's why you'll know with DG's world, the David Greene that interacts in there, the Kyle Renke that interacts in there, the agents that we have that interact in there, they will be
just
verified.
Gave me an idea, right? What this will do is decrease the value of social media. Because right now we're like, I don't want to go to church. I'm just going to watch it from my phone. I don't want to go to a meetup. I'm just going to watch it on YouTube, right? Like, and you're still hearing from a human. But if we get to the point where like, how do I know that that's not a Snapchat filter made to look like David's face on someone else and someone else making their voice sound like his? It's like Mission Impossible stuff is everywhere. If you want to know you're getting it from the horse's mouth, you're actually going to have to see people in person. Right. So like these retreats that we put together will actually become more valuable because now you don't have to wonder, is that really David or is that a bot or is that a voice filter? Am I getting ripped off? Like those in-person relationships will actually become much more valuable when you spend all your time wondering, is this actually Kyle that I'm talking to? Because that's a crappy feeling. Like, sometimes you message, you DM a celebrity and they get back to you right away. And you're like, is this you or is this your staff? And you don't want to be you don't want to be authentic because you don't know if they're authentic. You know that feeling? I'm describing? We're going to have that every day. You're never going to know.
Oh, that's a really good. Yeah, and you're going to be looking for some sign of authenticity, whether that be a check mark or an in-person event or something. Because absolutely, like you can steal anyone's voice and create a different podcast based off of that voice and say that it's the David Greene podcast or the David Greene whatever, and be like, oh yeah, David did all this stuff.
Well, I'm afraid by crypto scammers that are always making fake profiles that say Devad Greene and nobody looks close enough at the screen name. So they think they're talking to me and they're like, I got a great opportunity to invest in crypto. Send me $10,000 and I'll cut you in on my deal. And then people do that. Well, I've been saying, don't ever do that. If you think it's me, ask for a voice memo. If we're actually talking, I will send you me talking. Well, now that isn't even something that's going to be legit. So until that happens, we're going to have to get back to actually knowing regular human beings in real ways. And that's going to be the way you get away from that weird feeling of like, is this really you? Because I hate that. It's like catfishing is just going to become commonplace.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very commonplace. Yeah, it's going to be a whole new type of catfishing. And by the way, you guys might have heard David mention the retreat. David's going to be there. I'm going to be there. It's going to be in person. Our next retreat we have is coming up actually in about 6-7 weeks, March 22nd through the 26th in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's going to be specifically around goal setting. But there's going to be a lot of stuff that David's going to be talking about in terms of how you can protect your wealth. We're going to have like performance coaching type meetings. We're going to be talking about continuing this talk about artificial intelligence and what you can do to not only protect your wealth, but also what you can do to utilize it and leverage it to grow your wealth exponentially and at a lot faster rate than you were before, but leveraging those tools to put you in the best position to succeed. So that's something I'm really looking forward to.
Absolutely. We're also going to be talking about goal setting for 2023 and trying to figure out what we want our lives to look like. So that is a very powerful endeavor, but it's also challenging. Like I remember when I first joined GoBundance and they were like, what are your goals? I was like, I just don't want to work 20 hours a day. We could start there. Like, well, what do you want out of life? And I was like, I don't know, man. I need someone to help me figure that out. Like, what could I want out of life? And so we'll be talking about health, fitness, wealth, money, how you spend your time, personal success, relationships, and we'll be getting into more than just how you buy a house. It's going to be, are you tired of constantly fighting with your significant other? Are you tired of never having friends? Are you tired of always being taken advantage of by people and you don't know how to stand up for yourself? Or are you tired of being so defensive that all you do is stand up for yourself? Like all of that plays a role in wealth building, believe it or not. All of those personal flaws and character strengths that we have absolutely play a role in how much money that you make. So we're going to be getting into some pretty deep stuff there. So if you don't like the cookie cutter plastic stuff, if you don't want to just join a course where they say, call someone and say this 7,000 times and eventually you'll finally strike gold, which is kind of the 49er method of like, putting your pan in the river and shaking it until you get a little bit of a gold nugget there. Come here and we will dive deep with you to figure out like what strengths we see in you, what strategies we think you could do and what you could do to both make more money, protect the money you have, and goal set. Would love to see you guys there.
Awesome. Yeah, check it out. davidgreen24.com/retreats. We do still have some spots available. And there's also a contact me question. If you have any questions, reach out and I'd love to chat with you some more about it too in person.
Joe, I give you my word. It will not be that. My hologram like Tupac at Coachella. It's going into Scottsdale.
Yeah, so no, it will be David in the flesh. You will get to see him. You will get to smell him. You will get to high five him. You could probably even play pool against him. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on that? Right, like I hear people are surprised when we shoot pool. I don't think I've lost yet.
David's pretty decent. You can tell he's put some work into his game. I can tell that like you've like practiced, like it wasn't just something you just played for fun on the weekend at your grandma's like retirement home type of
But
deal.
you can probably also tell I haven't done it in like 15 years or 20 years, right? Like I'm rusty. You can also see that, right? So I'm definitely beatable, but it's like I don't think anybody beat me at the last retreat. I think I was undefeated even in the team games that we were having.
I feel like I came close though, didn't I? Like, didn't you and I have a close one where it got down to
Were we
like
on
the
opposite
wire?
teams?
Oh, I'm thinking of when we played video games. I almost beat you in some of those games, like those Street Fighter games.
That's happened. You've gotten close.
Yes.
We actually should bring a PlayStation and set up a Street Fighter little tournament while we're
That'd
there
be fun.
and play each other. Guys, this house is dope. Like you want to come just because it's such a cool property, just to hang out and have a blast with people and like make some relationships. So we'd love to see you there. I'm trying to do more of these. We're trying to figure out if we can get enough steady stream of signups that we can just have like one of these a month so you can make it work for what your calendar is like.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be a lot of fun. So yeah, anyways, we're going to jump back into the next portion of the talk on AI and specifically around Mr. Chris Crone. So he's got like 900,000 subscribers. So he's a bigger influencer than the last guy. I don't think he's going to try to trick us on this one. Let's see if you guys can have your AI detectors on. But he's going to talk a little bit more about how specifically real estate investors can invest smarter using tools like ChatGPT. So let me pull that up and we will get it rolling.
Old and archaic up until now. There's not been room for a whole lot of innovation or a whole lot of technology or software or artificial intelligence. But the world changed on November 30th when ChatGPT went live, along with 600 other AIs that are brand new. And that is dramatically changing the game of real estate. And since I've done over $2 billion worth, today I'm going to share with you how I'm using this new technology to make real estate even easier. While there are a lot of different types of artificial intelligence, today I want to talk specifically about ChatGPT and others that are very similar. And let's just start with the basics. What is it? ChatGPT is a chatbot by OpenAI launched to the general public on November 30th, 2022 as a powerful language processing model that can generate human-like text. Some of its most common uses so far include drafting essays, giving recipes, writing poetry, but its truest potential is so much bigger than that. And I want you to think about it this way. When the internet came out, there was a lot of skeptical people like, what is this? And it was basically going to become an encyclopedia on steroids. You can basically ask it informational questions and it's going to give you informational responses. Artificial intelligence is not about revealing information like the internet. It is like Internet 2.0, like the next big invention since the internet. And what it does is it interacts with you and it tells you not what things are, but how to do things. And I'm going to tell you right now, how is infinitely more important than what, because we're out of the information age. All of the information that you'd ever want to know, it's discovered, it's known, it's Googleable, right? But now the big question remains, how? How do you do these things? How do you accomplish this thing in real estate? Not just what is a contract, but give me a contract or write me a contract with these specific terms. Or not just, hey, what is a good deal, but how do you find me a really good deal? Can you get that this literally changes everything? Now, I am going to share with you 5 of the most practical uses of AI as it pertains to real estate investing. But before I do that, I really want to make sure you capture what's happened. This is the largest innovation that has taken place in 2 decades. It's one of the most important because there are so many entrepreneurs, which is what a real estate investor is, who struggle. And it's one thing to learn terms and understand what things are, but people always get stopped in the how. And so it's like, well, how do you do this? How do you take those next steps? I wish I had someone at my side that would detail it out. And this just isn't about real estate. It's about everything on the planet. Like, let's just say that your relationship is getting boring. Go to ChatGTP and ask a very specific prompt about things that you like to do and say, give me 10 date night ideas. And it's like, boom, I got some instant spice. Or maybe you're struggling with a teenager and you're looking for great ideas on things that you can do to remedy, a new addiction habit or something else that's going on, or language problems in the house. Well, all of a sudden, if you start asking it how protocol, it's amazing. Not only that, you can say, hey, I'm Christian and I really like this book and that book. How would that author suggest I do something? And it can do that. I've also fed it one of my 5 books and said, hey, here's 9 different principles of creation. What would the 10th one be? Artificial intelligence is intelligent right now, currently at a college level and rapidly growing. And there's definitely some people out there that are afraid. They're afraid of this technology. They're definitely thinking of like Skynet from Terminator, and this is the end of the world. And what if artificial intelligence goes from machine learning to developing its own conscience of what it thinks is best for human beings? But where I stand with artificial intelligence is that there will always be new innovation. When the internet came out, people said, man, that thing is going to be really bad. And you take a look at this the incredible level of immorality that has come through it. And there will always be a shadow and a counterfeit and something bad with something new that comes out. But there'll also always be good. The thing itself, however, is not bad. It's the way you choose to use it. And my company, me personally, I am completely embracing artificial intelligence. I feel like I just hired 10,000 professor level smart people to literally help me in my marketing department, in my content creation department, in so many areas. In fact, the next 50 people I was meant to hire will no longer be hired. Maybe 10 people will, because what I'm now doing is I'm looking for people inside my organization that will augment what they do with artificial intelligence to create more value. And it will lead to an economy, at least in my personal world, where I pay people even more money because they're now capable of producing even more results. With artificial intelligence, you're only limited by your own personal creativity. So let me share with you today what that creativity looks like in the game of real estate investing, because it may make the difference of you becoming a wantrepreneur and becoming an actually successful real estate entrepreneur. So the first benefit that I'm going to talk about in the game of real estate has to do with listing a property. As in, I own a property, I want to sell a property.
Can you pause it for a second, Kyle?
Just rely on the expertise of an agent.
I don't want to forget this thought. What do you think the odds are? This guy's Scott, right? Is his name?
Chris Crone.
What if Chris does everything he said, and then you ask Chat GTP, just do everything Chris did and do it for my business too? Does he still
replicate it?
Yeah. Does he still have an advantage in the market? Like he thinks this is going to give him, if you can ask it to copy for you what it's doing for him. It's like, oh, sure. And it just like creates a system for you and your social media or your business or a marketing. Like he's saying this is going to make marketing easier, right? Why wouldn't that make someone who's typically terrible at marketing but better at other things? Wouldn't this level the playing field? Kind of like how Smith & Wesson leveled the playing field in a sense where if you were the biggest, baddest guy in town, you shouldn't be excited that now firearms are out there. That's good for the person that's not struggling. Like before we listen to him talk about real estate, I'm curious what people in the chat think about the potential this has to level the playing field, where we are looking at it like this will make my job easier. What it could very well do is make your job non-existent, make no humans really stand out over other humans. I think that's the concern that I would have. Is it's the people who are influencers right now who are running their rental properties better than other people. That's literally what these podcasts and stuff is teaching you. Here's how you analyze a deal better than someone else. Here's how you know what to offer. Here's how you operate your property. Here's how you save your money and put it towards something else. But if you just tell Chat GTP, make me a budget and don't let me spend any money more than this or something, and they figure out some way to make an app that restricts your credit card spending or whatever to like force you to live by a budget, do you have an advantage over anyone else? What do you think?
It's actually a really good question. So I think the leverage and the use of the artificial intelligence or the technology is dependent on the ability that you have or the skill set that you have.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the skill to actually execute the things that it's telling you to do, you're going to be useless, right?
You don't think it can do it for you?
Not
Eventually?
yet, and eventually it might.
Yeah.
And eventually it might. At this current juncture, no. It can write a YouTube script for us, but I may not be able to execute that as well.
So yeah, I agree. In the beginning stages, this is like, it's almost like a musket. If you were going back to the firearm thing, which I probably should get away from because YouTube might not like that. But like, you had to have a skill to like learn how to put the little ball in there. It's really hard to fire. It wasn't going to be even. So like, you had to be super skilled to use this thing. And then eventually they evolved to where like anybody could do this. It's like, no, there's nothing to it. At the rate it's growing, I think the conversation we're having tonight about the initial stages will just be non-relevant very quickly. It will evolve to figure, oh, you don't know how to use what I'm giving you. Let me figure out how to do it for you. Would you like me to log into your Instagram and post the things that I'm saying? Why, yes, I would. And it just goes in there and does it. Would you like me to change the lighting or the filter to look more like Chris's video? Right? Would you like me to make it so that your shoulders look bigger and your waist looks smaller in this video? And it starts throwing that out there.
Yeah.
And we just start seeing like the same stuff everywhere. And then it figures out, okay, I've got you all in the same level playing field. I will only give my best stuff to the people that spend more money to be a part of a program or are helping my owners in some way. You see where I'm going with that whole type of a thing, right? Like, that's the thing I'm more concerned about. I do agree in the beginning, it will be valuable. It will help people. I think it will grow so quickly that your level of skill becomes less valuable. And everything he's saying, I'll just tell it, yeah, I want you to do what you're doing for Grant Cardone. What's his marketing system? Oh, it's like this. Yeah, do that for me. You want me to grow your subscriber list to 800,000? Just start posting. It starts telling you what to do. Post these videos, say this script, do it this way, right? And now everybody that's the part that I don't love about this, because we tend to focus on personal development. So what I love about that is that if you want wealth, if you want money, if you want an easier life, you have to become a better person. So the benefit is not the wealth itself. The wealth becomes a byproduct of the real benefit, which was your character is improved, which makes you a better human being. And if you believe in the afterlife, will give you a better afterlife. That's something that can't be taken from you, right? This has potential to give you all the trappings that you're looking for without the personal development side, right? Do you think I'm being paranoid with that?
No, actually, I think you are onto something. I think because like right now in the way that it exists, I like what he said. Like, it's actually dependent on your creativity. Like, the prompts that you give it will give you different outputs. So if you say, yeah, I want you to do it like Grant Cardone, but maybe have a David Greene spin or a David Greene tone or something like that. And now you've got something even different than the other person that just wanted Grant Cardone. But as it evolves and gets to the point that you're mentioning, where it basically just tells you what to do, it almost makes you think too, if it's telling you to do one thing, what's it telling the other person that's asking the same question, right? Is it telling them the same thing, or is it telling them something different so that it can pit it up against itself and see where the competition actually goes?
And see which one works better. Or is it telling you something that is better than what you're doing, but not as good as someone else? Because by having 80% of the people do it this way, the 20% that it really wants to help, it gives them something a little bit different, which puts all the eyeballs there. Right. And then as we are slowly starting to turn more and more to relying on algorithms within social media to tell us what to watch and to show us what to watch, like, that started off cool. Oh, they know stuff I like. I'm not complaining about that. Well, what about when that integrates with this, when it's creating the content and it's telling what to watch?
Yeah.
Like, now it knows what to show you to get you used to something, and then can say, well, here's something in the 20% that's different. You're going to like this the most. It chooses who the influencers become and who makes it to the top. And like, we don't have as much agency as we think we do over what we're watching. I don't mean to sound paranoid, but I can see that it's not going to be too far away from that happening.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a pay for play type thing, right? Like, if you want to get the best advice, you got to pay $500 a month. But if you just want the mediocre advice, you got to pay $200 a month. And then it's really the tech companies, the ones that are getting paid. Because if you want the better answers, you want the better algorithms, you're going to have to pay more for it.
There's going to be a tier system. That's exactly right. You pay this much money or whatever they're looking for, right, you do this much stuff and you get the best content we have. And then the chat GTP for the masses is actually the feeder funnel for the better stuff, right? Like you become the experiment that it plays around with to figure out what the good stuff is. And then Mark Zuckerberg gets all that. And what we thought was going to be, oh, this makes my life easier, really just turns you into the little person in the Matrix that's like the battery. I don't mean to be that paranoid, okay? This is not how I thought this was going to go. But I did have that thought that went through my head, like, okay, what he's saying is right. But if that's is true, once that's figured out how to make Chris's business better, why couldn't it do that for mine just as easy? Now he doesn't have the advantage anymore.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's jump into it and actually see what the specific uses that he has and suggests for it. So thank you for bringing that up.
Agent. But I want you to think that artificial intelligence has college level aptitude in every field of science on the planet, every field of art on the planet. It's smart at everything. It has access to going back and looking at the most successful listings on the planet. So its first use would be in writing something, as in, write me for my house of this square feet, etc., that has all these amenities, the best description, the sexiest description, the most appealing and appetizing, the most seductive, listing possible. Well, all of a sudden, someone that reads your listing, it's almost like you hired one of the top agents on the planet and said, hey, represent my property. And that starts with pictures and language. Show me the language I should use. It's amazing because there are so many really great houses, and often the best deals never get looked at or get attention because someone's DIYing it. They're doing it themselves. They don't understand. There are different critical junction points that if you're going to post something, for example, on the multiple listing service, the MLS, and you want to aggregate everybody's attention, you need to represent that with language that is incredibly appealing. Well, now you've got the top minds, basically AI from all over the planets of experience, writing your listings. So number two, I want to talk about how AI in the game of real estate can help you with other communication. We live in a world where a lot of people respond through emails, people respond through texts. And what's great about that tech is that you have time to formulate a response. The question is, are you really giving the best response? So I'm here in Tucson, Arizona at the Gem Show. And yesterday I spent about $100,000 on different crystals and rocks. And I brought a communication broker with me. Literally someone, his name's Braden. He represents me. He's frugal as you can get. And he's an expert negotiator. So my wife and I walk around, we identify something we like, and then we discover the price. And if we're interested, I basically tell him this is your max approval and it's up to you. And then 10 minutes later or an hour later, he'll come back and say, here's what I was able to negotiate. And on one deal, he saved me $4,000. On another one, he saved me $14,000. Yesterday, he saved me over $20,000 as a whole. Well, the reason why he was able to do that is because I leaned into an expert's advice and I had representation. With AI, you have that now as well. Imagine taking someone's question about the price on the property and trying to lowball it and putting it into AI and saying, hey, how should I respond to this if I'm trying to achieve this price? And it will lean on the best information out there in the world and negotiation tactic and skills and give you responses. All of a sudden, you could take someone's really lengthy email with all of these questions, pop it in and ask ChatGPT to give you a response. And I'm not saying it'll give you something to hit send on, but it will give you a draft with all sorts of thoughts and ideas that aren't your own. I always tell people the reason why we need mentors in life is to get a successful person's perspective. And artificial intelligence does that. So anytime you're evaluating, okay, I'm in a strategic negotiation, and if time is money, well, I'll tell you, communication is money, response is money. If you want to make sure that your responses are spot on, you want to check it through that. And it's not going to slow you down. It will do the opposite. It will speed you up, not 10 times or 100 times. It can give responses in seconds. So now your time isn't spent creating drafts. Your time is spent reviewing communication and strategizing. Wow, those were some amazing ideas. That will definitely be the best response, way better than I could have come up with. That's going to create acceleration. And in the game of real estate, investing and negotiating, better outcomes. Negotiating crystals and real estate, frankly, aren't that different from each other. They're both products. And so my wife really loved this one piece that was about to go to the Smithsonian. It was an Australian opal. This man had pulled it out of the ground from his own mine himself, spent a year polishing it, and he wanted $65,000 for the piece. And I didn't want to pay $65,000. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime incredible, I don't know how many carats are in there, but as we sat down, I noticed that his style of negotiation was interesting. He kicked everyone out of the room. He wanted to talk to me one-on-one. And then I was like, oh, he's going to present some numbers and he doesn't want everyone to hear the discount. Nope. He spent the next 8 minutes, this 78-year-old man, thank you, Rod, walking me through why he doesn't think he should give me a discount. He was using rhetoric. He was using language to communicate value, how he pulled this out. And by the time he was done telling his story, I was like, wow, I don't think I want a discount anymore because this guy has such a compelling emotional story. Well, it's interesting that there's good deals out there for everyone, but only some people are going to get them. And the people that do are usually those that have an advantage of communication. How do you get someone to buy your story? How do you persuade them to listen to your reasons? In the game of real estate, this is really big. Even if you have one agent talking to another agent, or I'm talking to a homeowner selling a property, and often there's time in between responses. And I'm telling you, artificial intelligence can give you some of the most successful approaches that have a way higher likelihood of working than maybe some of your own ideas. You use this tool for the next year in the game of real estate, and you will simply become more knowledgeable and better at the game. So I'm out here literally in the wild, trying not to get bitten by a shark or a crocodile. No, I'm just a big dork outside the hotel waiting for the sun to rise, and thought to myself, I'm so excited about this AI stuff. It keeps me up at night with excitement, that I would talk to you about the third major use that you can use on it in the game of real estate, which is calculating returns. Like, how do I know if I'm going to make money on this property, or how much will I, or can you calculate now that I've negotiated what my exact ROI is going to be? Check it out. One of the most useful parts of ChatGPT is its ability to perform and explain technical tasks. Even for those who don't understand the equations themselves, a user can simply tell ChatGPT the numbers on their property and ask it to compute the ROI, the internal rate of return, the IRR, or any return measurement. And if the user has additional questions about it, ChatGPT can answer them as well. I have people multiple times a year come out to my private convention center to learn real estate investing from me. And one of the things I do is I teach them how to calculate returns. And at first it seems like this impossible, daunting task. And then I break it down and I teach it to them. And all of a sudden they feel comfortable with numbers. They get it, even if they're not a math person. And it literally makes the difference on whether they do or don't become a real estate investor. Now they have the ability to go out and look at a deal and say, this is a good deal or this isn't. But they have to learn something to get there. AI removes that learning and just helps you know what the answer is, so you know whether to put an offer in or not. Now, if that's not one of the most practical uses, I don't know what is. The fourth service that I'm going to talk about today for how do you use AI to successfully invest in real estate is about automated services. Check it out. Once you have tenants in place, ChatGPT can provide automated services to tenants and landlords and help overcome translation barriers between them. It can even help to draft legal contracts and respond to legal queries. So imagine that you need a contract, but you don't feel like paying a lawyer, or you're just wishing there was an easier template or draft. You can have all the back and forth languaging that you need to basically put documents together, or maybe you want to be the landlord. I don't believe in that. I hire property managers to do that because I'm doing thousands of deals. But let's just say that you're starting out and you're doing your first deal, your handful, you're going to be the landlord, and you want to know in your state what a good contract would be, or you need to specify something specific that you and the tenant did and you just don't know how to do it. Well, guess what? ChatGPT has the ability to do that. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have a lawyer look at that or review that or check that. But what I am telling you is that that level of ability exists. Imagine how many real estate investors that want to get into the game don't, because they're afraid of the legal side of it, the ramifications or paperwork, or whether they can even get it produced in the first place. It's like having a private, very smart real estate paralegal assistant that is helping you every step of the way by putting your documents together. Imagine for a moment having a family member or a friend that decides to go in with you on an investment property. And let's say that you're the one doing the legwork and you're the one buying the property, and now you've bought it and you got a great deal on it and you've got a tenant in it. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, that worked out so great with that friend or family member. I'd like to do another deal with them. But I'm going to tell you something that every partner wants. They want an investment update report. They want to know how their money with you in this partnership is performing. And I'm going to tell you, for me, I have hundreds of partners all over the world that have worked hard to put their money into 401ks and IRAs that as they start approaching retirement or even earlier, they start realizing this doesn't work. But they've been watching me on my real estate channel. Like, I want to partner with Chris. And so they are able to put up the money and I do all of the work. And all of a sudden, we're now growing the money over 170 times faster than in retirement over a 20-year period of time. It makes the difference of hundreds of thousands to literally many, many millions of dollars. Literally, I help people become wealthy and rich. And so to each one of them, I need to report back on how we're doing. Well, here's another function of ChatGPT. If you involve investors in your real estate business, ChatGPT can help you generate automated reports on property performance and market conditions. While it has limited knowledge on data past 2021, you can input your own data sets for it to analyze, or even have it code a program to web scrape data and analyze it for you. In other words, it's so smart, it's so intelligent that now with greater ease, I can tell my partners, hey, this is what happened last year. This is what we're forecasting might happen in the coming year. Here's what's happened in our specific market. Here's the economic changes. Here's how it's growing. This is what's good. This is what's bad. Here's what's happened to the percentage of rent increases. Here's how much we increased our rent by. The property's appreciated X amount. And all of a sudden, guess what that investor is thinking? Thank you for all of the very useful, detailed, customized information pertaining to the market and my property. And this is working out great. And I see the performance. You've communicated the performance. And now I want more performance. Like, let's do more deals. Again, just another incredible use of ChatGPT. This is just the beginning of all of the different uses with artificial intelligence. In fact, you can comment on this video and share other ideas or thoughts on, hey, Chris, make a video about this, or show me how I would use AI to do that. And you're going to see a lot more of this coming forth, because this means that you can get in the game far easier than you ever thought before. Whenever you think, well, what if I don't have the money? What if I don't have the credit? I promise you, artificial intelligence has a data bank of information, knowledge, and how-tos to start making that uber super possible, which really means that what you now need is a winning strategy. And with $2 billion worth of results in my portfolio on real estate with other investors over the last 20 years, if you click the link below, I'm going to give you the perfect wealth roadmap. I wrote a book called Have It All, and it shares 5 investments that I
Lots of good stuff there. Interesting stuff. I like how the fact that he talks about you can use it for like negotiation strategies, right? You can figure out different ways to negotiate with the other side, figure out different approaches to that, because I think that's a huge part. And I think that's where a lot of real estate investors fail. They start in it negotiating, and maybe they push too hard and they scare the seller away and the seller gets mad. Or maybe they went too soft when they should have went too hard, or maybe they needed to approach it from a certain step. So I think I like that idea and that concept. And then obviously the market research, the calculation stuff is really, really interesting too. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting ways that you could do it. I'm curious, David, what are your takeaways from that?
Well, I was thinking about how there's this pattern in business where a new thing comes out. So like, remember when having a website itself was incredibly valuable to business? We're going back to the beginning of the internet. So you would have people like web developers. That was the best job to have for like 3 years. You made so much money. If you could just make a website, you could get paid like 25 grand, which, and that in that day's money was like 50 to 75 grand. Because if a company could sell their items online, or if you could research a company on the internet, it made it way more valuable. Just having that presence was big. And then you had a ton of different people competing for that space, and it stayed that way until eventually we ended up with like 2 or 3 companies like Wix, Squarespace. Like, they just make a website for you. You don't need a web developer anymore, right? And then you saw that same pattern with other areas in technology where there was Bing, there was Yahoo search, there was Ask Jeeves. You had a bunch of
Dogpile.
You had all these different search engines that all competed for business, and then Google showed up. It was the one ring to bind them all, took over. And then what happened is Google started taking over everything else too. So like, you think you have a navigation system, Google Maps is better. You think you have anything, you have like Yelp, we'll just make Google reviews. And then they would buy the companies that could possibly compete with them. And so Google ended up just being like the one company that could do everything. Okay. You've got all this software that's out there. Like, I want to generate reports for my investors. Well, there's like 20 different softwares that you could pick from that all kind of compete with each other for how to do that. I want to analyze a deal. There's calculators, there's spreadsheets, there's the bigger pocket stuff. Like, where do you go to do that? The concern with this would be, if this is as intelligent as it sounds like, there's no competition anymore. Like, it will just copy what these other softwares can do, and you could do it all from Chat GPT. You say, all right, run a report for me. All right, analyze the deal. All right, get me a bid. How much should it cost for a new roofing thing? And then people will go to the roofing company that gives the bid and say, well, Chat GPT says it should only cost this much because this is how much material it's costing. This is the price of lumber in China. This is the going rate for labor in your market. Like, it knows all of that. Right. And so it just takes over all the different companies that are out there that are making a living and hiring employees. And like, that ripple could be pretty significant. Like, we keep looking at it like eliminating people from this is what we're excited about, but we are people. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, we at some point, like the people who work at software companies aren't thinking about the fact that Chat GPT could learn C++ or JavaScript way better than them. Like, you're the guy that knows Ruby on Rails and you get paid a lot of money because you're better at it than everyone. How fast can Chat GPT learn a computer language if it can learn the English language? And all those people that are making 250 grand a year in Silicon Valley because they're great at code are gone. They don't need that to be anymore. And that's where I think the scariness probably comes in, because I don't think it's going to be good at this stuff right now. I don't think it's going to be long before it figures that out and just starts eliminating jobs left and right. I know I keep going back to that, but my brain can't help but think that way. Do you think that I'm missing something? Is there another angle here?
No, I think that's right. I think we're on the right track with a lot of this, and we're going to know more as the GPT comes out, especially because right now, a lot of people, we haven't talked about this, but right now we're working with version 3 of Chat GPT, which I think only goes back to 2021. So it's not even using relevant data. I don't even think it has relevant data related to things like COVID, right? Or any current news things that are happening. So if you're looking up market statistics in a certain area, those may not be accurate as well, because it's not instantaneous. It's not what you see happening right now. And so it's working off of a limited data set and what it has available. So I think Chat GPT version 4 is supposed to come out, around the Q1 of 2023 or something like that. But it's really interesting. And I did notice today, this is the first time, because I've been using Chat GPT at least once a day, maybe a couple times a day, but they have this little option now on the left side. It's in really highlighted in yellow. It says to upgrade the plan. And so they're already giving me an opportunity to use it at a faster response speed.
I bet you they planned on doing that after 2 years, and they're like, oh, we went viral in 14 hours. We're already going to start rolling out a tier system.
Let's monetize this as quickly as we can, which I don't blame them. So yeah, it's really exciting and interesting. I loved your joke, by the way, in the, I love it. What is Pie Rat's favorite letter? You got to say it, David.
R.
Very nice.
You got to balance it out, right? We can't have too much doom and gloom and high level conversation without a dad joke in there to bring balance to the force. Yes,
Zachary says total dad joke. While we're on the topic, I actually told a dad joke today, so I want to try it out here live on the air with you, David. Tell me, would you rather have a chicken joke or a knock knock joke?
I'd rather have a chicken joke.
All right. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Well, it can't be the obvious answer. Why?
Because.
That's very good.
That's pretty good.
You guys didn't know Kyle's son and family, like, their weird hobby is raising chickens, which is so sad for me because, like, his son loves them. He doesn't want to eat chicken. They're his friends. But Kyle lives in like a semi-country area where hawks are prevalent and chickens don't really have defense mechanisms. Like, So his kid is like, I know I should be laughing. It's just ironic that his kid falls in love with these animals that are guaranteed to die. They're like the worst thing ever. It's not like a dog that's like very rarely going to be killed by something. They're constantly under threat all the time. So Kyle has to not only like support his family's love of chickens, but then he also has to be emotionally available for them when inevitably a hawk or a fox or some animal kills a chicken. And it's like, that's got to be emotionally draining. It's kind of like those of us that hate people, but we go buy real estate and manage our own properties. And you're like, you did the one thing that would guarantee you had to deal with the worst of humanity all the time. Every self-operator here is like face palming right now. Like, that's me. I love chickens, but I hate death. Why did I get into this business? But that's how it works.
It's hard, man, especially when you start giving those chickens names, right? They become your pet, and then you lose them to a fox or something that figured out. A fox got in the hen house, right? It figured out how to get into the property and to get these poor defenseless. And they've got little personalities. They're good pets, but it's also a good pet to have right now with the freaking cost of eggs right now and how expensive they are.
This is like, we could make a video on the 2023 strategy, which could be like arbitraging chickens. You're like, hey dude, let me take care of your chicken. I'll pay you $500 a month to have it. But you're saving $2,500 on eggs.
Yes, exactly. So chickens are good. And yeah, I'm glad you liked my chicken joke. I tried it on someone earlier today and the delivery was not well. So if I didn't have that practice earlier today, I wouldn't have had the delivery here for this call. So I'm glad I had the practice.
Yeah, I like that you only bring me the finished product, right?
Yes.
You go ahead and you focus, you brainstorm that, you workshop it out with somebody else. But when you guys come to a Friday Night Live with Kyle and I, you are getting the polished gem of dad jokes.
This is the good stuff. I practice, right? I do the dress rehearsal, but then when we come here and we're live and we're on the air, it's only the good stuff. Speaking of on the air and good stuff, we have Mark Hansen that wanted to come in and actually share a little bit about his experience with ChatGPT. Also had a question for us about how we utilize ChatGPT. So Mark, let's start with the question you have for us, and then maybe we can jump into some of your thoughts on the topic.
So I wanted to know, how are you guys already using AI to implement it? Because obviously you've been messing around with ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff. So what are your guys' plans? What do you see being the biggest things to apply in using AI?
Okay, really good stuff. And if you wouldn't mind, hit the mute button in between you're talking because we can hear the music in the background. Great question. Thank you. So great question, Mark. So he's asking the question, how do we use ChatGPT in our businesses and how we use it specifically with stuff on the David Greene team? I can tell you a few different ways that I've been implementing it and looking to use it. The first is figuring out ways to use it for automation. So as you would imagine, we as the David Greene team and the One Brokerage and all the different businesses that David runs have a lot of different things coming in at any time. And so I actually have not figured out how to automate it. If some of you guys have ideas, I know that it connects with automation tools like Zapier, but I think there's a slight payment. We're looking for ways to increase and improve it on that end. But I can tell you a few ways that I've used it, and it's been really, really, really helpful. The first thing that I've done is I've added a few Google Chrome extensions, and this is something I would highly suggest you guys look into and check out. The one that I did is it's basically called, I believe it's called Google for ChatGPT. And essentially what it is I got it set up to, you know how like when you jump on Google and you want to look up information, you want to figure out, okay, what's the quickest way to build wealth, right? And you just want to type that in. If you append a question mark to the end of your Google search on the side of your search bar, so it'll give you your normal Google search results, which we all know are kind of hard to find. Sometimes you got to go through and you got to look and you got to see what you can, does this article match what I was looking for? Does this article match what I was looking for? But on the right side, it actually gives you the ChatGPT response to that as well. So it's kind of cool because you get Google results, but then you also get ChatGPT, and you can take that to hopefully find the information that you're looking for. So if David says, hey, Kyle, I want to do a retreat in the Arizona desert, then I go look for, okay, what's all the information I can find about the Arizona desert? I can do that and I can get both pieces of information. And I found that really, really helpful. I've actually found myself going to ChatGPT for results and for information almost more than than Google itself. So that's been kind of cool. And then I'll tell you one more that I've been doing. And there's actually another Google Chrome add-on called, what's it called? I think it's called Chat GPT for YouTube. So if you've ever gone to a YouTube video and it's like an hour long and it's a lecture or a talk on a specific topic, a lot of people don't know this, but YouTube actually generates subtitles and basically captions for the video. What ChatGPT does is you basically click the button right there next to the video, and then it takes the entire transcript and sends it to ChatGPT. I think it's currently limited by the amount of characters you can use, so it may not take the entire transcript, but it takes as much as it can and pops it in there, and then it provides you a bullet list summary of what that video was about. So if you didn't want to take an hour to listen to the entire thing, it'll go in, it'll take the transcript, and it'll give you the basic talking points that were discussed in that video. So it's a great way to get information. The third thing and the last one I'll tell you about is, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's actually a Gmail integration. And it's very much the same, where if you've ever gotten long emails that were typed out, and you're just like, I just don't have the time to read this long email that this person sent me. The same thing, it'll give you a summary, but then the scary thing is you can actually click a button and then it generates a suggested response, an entire email response based on their summary, which was really cool. I tried it out on one where David was negotiating with a vendor on some different things, and like, one of the cool things that it did was it basically typed out this email, and then it basically started negotiating with that vendor on like, what's the lowest price you can give us? And so it actually like generates things that maybe you wouldn't even think to generate. And it saves you some time there. So there's a couple cool tools and ways that we use it. I'm curious for you, Mark, because I know you specifically, you're in the real estate business, you're a real estate agent, and I believe you also run a pretty successful landscaping business too. What have been your thoughts in terms of using it for your businesses?
I'm being, people say that they're, optimistically cautious. I'm pessimistically cautious. I kind of tend to err on the side of what David says with this is I can see this being used in way more nefarious ways than not, just because of human nature. And, the advent of everything in technology that we've seen over the last 50 to 100 years, that's kind of where I see this going. However, that doesn't discount all the good that can be done with it. And I've done as much studying as I possibly can on this the last couple of weeks, especially since Chat GPT came out. And I could talk about it for hours because I'm absolutely thrilled to see it, because it's amazing, its applications. My biggest thing is my landscaping company. We've had AI for a while, right? 5 to 10 years at an absolute max, but we've had really rudimentary AI in terms of like when you do an email now, you'll get like, I'll finish the sentence for you, right? And you hit a button and it automatically fills the email, or at least it fills that sentence, little stuff like that. This AI, this Chat GPT is thinking in 3D, not 2D, like that old stuff is. And so that's kind of where all of this stuff goes crazy. So my landscaping company basically runs itself. I could have an office of 4 people doing everything that my system does, and it all goes based on what I do. So from the time somebody decides that they want to hire our services to the time that we show up the first time, everything that they do behind the scenes is done automatically. I don't have any contact with them unless they want me to call them. There's a way that they can request that. But when they hop on my website or when they look at us on Facebook, I have a system that goes through, collects all their information, automatically finds their address based on what they sent me, writes up an estimate, sends it to their email, and then gives them instructions, and they approve it through that email. They add a card on file, and that sends it back to the system to say, okay, it's ready to be scheduled, and it automatically goes into our dispatching for my guys to schedule. So that usually would take 2 office people and maybe a crew lead to make sure that everything gets dispatched correctly, and we were running it all automated this last year. So I love it. I love the applications for it. The crazy thing is, this thing is exponentially bigger than what that kind of AI system is. So for my real estate, I really don't see anything, like however advanced AI gets over the next couple of years, I think the most advanced it'll get will be just enough to get rid of the tedious stuff. The stuff that the barrier to entry for most real estate agents is
Mhm.
nobody wants to sit down and cold call, nobody wants to go through leads, nobody wants to follow up, right? And there's already systems like Follow Up Boss that take care of most of that are automated. I just see that getting rid of more of the tedious stuff. So, you know, the CMAs that nobody wants to do, that could all be automated. Even the contacting when people pick up the phone and want to do stuff. I've got a lender that has me set up in their system. They can run a specific ad on Facebook. It's usually like $1 to $3 per lead. And so it's really good, but we set it up on a 3-day schedule. And so I pick a weekend when I'm home, I'm next to my phone. He runs that ad and I get about anywhere between on the weekend 30 to 60 leads. But the only way they're effective is if I pick up the phone immediately, right? Because if you wait, I think it's based off of his numbers over the last 10 years, if you wait 2 minutes to call somebody back, your chance to close that lead drop by like 400%. It's an insane number. So I can see this being that like AI taking care of that whole thing, because now you don't have to have a person that takes care of all of this. And there were always, I see this evolving very similar to how most of the economic things have evolved since the internet, is there will always be a niche for some things. Like people will always want to have an in-person realtor, right? They just will probably, as things go on, become the minority. People will want things that are streamlined. They'll want to be able to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I need this addendum added on this specific deal for this person. And then ChatGPT just does it. I don't see ChatGPT coming up with legal analysis in terms of like sound legal analysis. I know that they've already used it to fight in court. There are like arguments that have been used through ChatGPT. I just don't see the nuance being there for ChatGPT. And maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
That's the other thing with AI is we could talk about this all night, and in less than a year, all of this could be irrelevant. So those are my thoughts.
No, good points. Thanks for sharing that, Mark. And a couple things that I want to respond to on that. Number one, and actually I like what Pyrat had said a little bit earlier, is he could, I can't find it. Oh, right here. He said, I asked ChatGPT to dumb down science studies for me. And I really like that concept, because with a lot of us, especially as us experts in the field, maybe you're a property manager, maybe you are a real estate agent, and maybe you're building your business, whatever you're doing, and you consult with other people. Sometimes it's really hard to figure out, okay, how can I speak to the client in a way that they would understand? And sometimes we have to sort of dumb down, or really, I think, just make these concepts more easily understood. And so I've actually done that a few times where I got some really cool, like maybe medical or scientific information. I say, okay, ChatGPT, now explain this to me as if I was a third grader. And then it puts it in a language that is easier for me to understand. And then I can share that with the other people, or be able to convey it in a way that they understand. The second thing, I'm going to get on a David Greene rant here, right here. I'm going to get on David Greene's platform, and that's what it comes down to: automation. David has said this many, many times, and we've actually seen it happen. The problem with automation, the problem with relying too much on technology, specifically if you operate a business and you're trying to run a really excellent service, that technology will break down to some degree, right? And a lot of times we just assume, oh, I'll just put it all on Zapier and I'll just make it all automated. I don't just push one button. I don't have to do everything, and it just does everything for me. But it's not good enough to be able to do that. Maybe one day when it actually figures out that, like, oh, it made a mistake, and then it figures out how to correct its own mistake. That would be kind of interesting and weird to see. But right now it doesn't do that, right? And so you run into a bunch of issues where your clients don't know, they didn't get the information because the email should have been sent out, and then we just relied too much on it, and we weren't checking to see if it broke down, or we weren't checking to see if it was working, and then you lose leads, or you lose clients, or you leave a lot of money on the table because of that, right? So it's never gonna, or at least right now, it's not replacing human skills and human ability and human excellence in those areas. And so that's one thing I would say to all the entrepreneurs that are here watching this tonight is, do not let it replace you, because it's never going to do that. And don't think that you can just, you hit a button and just let it be done. It's just not going to happen that way.
You know, I like, Mark, what you said about having it run CMAs. That's a great use for this, because realtors are effing lazy. If you guys don't know what a CMA is, it's a comparative market analysis. So this is where a realtor is trying to figure out how to price your home for a listing. And we pull up a list of actives, pendings, and sold. And like, I teach an entire course for agents. I put it in the books that I write, who's like, there is an entire science that goes into this. Okay. Like, you call every agent that has an active listing and you say, how many showings are you getting? Do you think you priced it too high? Do you think you priced it too low? How much offers? How many buyers are out there? And you actually use that to figure out what the buyer pool is, because there's no other way to know how many buyers are in a market. That's the hard part with supply and demand in real estate, is you can see the supply. It's very easy to tell how many listings are available. You don't know the demand. You don't know how many buyers are looking. This is how you get a snapshot into what's actually happening in a market. Then you call the pending people and you say, all right, what did you actually go into contract for? I see you're listed at 500. And if they say, oh, we went in at 460, you don't want to list your house at 500, right? Because the odds are no one's going to pay that. And even if someone does, the appraisal is going to come in lower when that pending becomes a sold before yours sells, and the 460 becomes the new floor. And now your client's pissed and you worked really hard. So this is what you're supposed to do with the CMA. Realtors don't do that. In fact, I don't know any other realtor I've ever met that puts the work into it that we do on the David Greene team with the system of selling homes. They go into a program through their MLS, usually RPR, another one, and they have some lame AI that looks at all the listings and kicks out this little sheet and says, I think you should list your house at 470. It has no idea the condition of the specific house. It has no idea the updates of what's going on in the market. It's pulling off the data from 6 months to 3 years ago to try to figure out how to price it. It's not accurate, but this is what every realtor does. And then they bring it there, and that's what they use to price it. I see Mark's nodding because he's seen this before. So if Chat GPT can actually look at updated information from stuff and then see the market trends in general are moving in this direction. So even though data from 3 to 6 months ago showed this, this is probably where we are here. It can ask you questions like, how would you rate the condition of the home? You probably can get a much more accurate CMA to go make your case. Like, that is a good use for AI. I like that being incorporated into it. What I don't want is people who are like, I can sell my house for sale by owner because Chat GPT can just answer all my questions. Like, it becomes the big brother that you don't actually have, but you start relying on it. Like, I upload the offer and it reads it and says, here's how you should counter offer. That's what I would be scared of.
And that's exactly what I see happening, at least for the foreseeable future. Is I think this will be something that'll be handleable in terms of, like, it'll just remove the tedious stuff. All this is another tool, right? It's only gonna accentuate everything that people are doing right now. So if you're a lazy realtor, if you're a lazy anybody using the system, it's just gonna make that much more apparent. If you're excelling, if you're hungry, if you're adaptive, then this is just going to make you stand out that much more. So that's the interesting thing. I think the reason that people fear it is because this thing's its computing power is almost on par, if not past humans, if applied the right way. And you get the whole uncanny valley metaphor, you know, when something looks like a human but isn't quite a human. Well, we have evolved to be scared of that kind of thing. I think that's where a lot of the fear comes from. But at the same time, that's a justified fear, because this could turn crazy really quick, because this tool can be manipulated in way more ways than anything before it, including the internet. Like, we thought that the internet was customizable. This is going to absolutely blow the internet out of the water. So I think you're exactly right. I think this is, if people are willing to take it as a tool and actually just use it to make themselves better, then I think this goes really well. If not, then I think we're in for a lot of hurt in a lot of industries, because either what's going to happen is it'll be sink or swim for most companies. Most companies will apply it. If they don't apply it in a very good way, we could see Google go belly up in a year. You know what I mean? Like, that is how crazy this could be. And at the same time, we could see Google become a mega company like you see in these comic books or, you know, the movies and that kind of stuff. It could rule the world. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens over the next months to years, depending on how fast this thing learns. So,
well, what you're going to see is everyone will rush into this space just like they rush into the internet. When companies figured out, I need a website, and then I need Wi-Fi, and then I need reviews, and I need, like, marketing now, it just basically means an online presence, mostly through social media. Okay. Like, I don't tend to think of TikTok as a website, but it's social media is the internet. It's an application of the internet. And so you aren't making it in the world today if you don't have social media. Nobody hears someone talking on TV and says, let me go search this guy's website like they used to. They go look at his Instagram, they go look at his Facebook, they go look at his TikTok, whatever. And that's how you get to know somebody. everyone rushed into that space. It wasn't like anyone didn't go there. What you'll find is every company, the Googles, whatever else is out there, they're going to run in and try to replicate what Chat GPT is doing. And if they can't buy it, they're going to try to take it over. And there's going to become the great AI war. Like, that's why I'm saying this is going to take off so fast, because trillions of dollars, more money than we can really comprehend in our mind, is all going to rush into this place at the same time. The smartest people in the world are all going to be working on how they can do this. Like, this is like an arms race. It's this equivalent of, like, in World War II, the race to develop a nuclear weapon that's going to win the war. Thank God America is the one that came up with that. Okay. But you don't know how this is going to work out. So while many people will make videos like Chris's that will say, guys, this is amazing, I'm not saying it's not amazing. Yes, I don't think they're wrong. Everything they're saying is true. I don't think your value is in thinking about how this could make your life easier. I'm going to encourage all of you. It's amazing there's only 78 people that are live on this. Hopefully more people listen to this later, because it's an important message. My advice to you is not to ask the question of how can AI make my life easier. It's going to do that on its own. You don't have to figure that out. It's just going to be like force fed to you. It's not like, man, should I start using Google more? That became a part of life. You can't get away from it. It's to ask yourself, do I know what I believe? Do I know what my values are? Do I know how to think for myself? Because if you don't, this is going to replace the thoughts that are in your head for you. It's going to tell you what to think. It's going to tell you what you should value. And it's going to do it in such a smooth, sultry, seductive way that you never think about the fact it's happening. You're going to find common speech patterns emerging over all of social media, because everyone's going to be using the same source to tell them what to do. You're going to get used to like a form of language that we're all speaking the same way. There's going to be less differences in personality. Okay. That will be very seductive and very easy to follow along with. And so what I'm telling all of you is, make sure you know right now who you are, what you believe. The more you have a firm grip of what your principles are and your values, the less likely you're going to fall for all the marketing that's coming our way, all the copyright that's coming our way, all the imagery. Like, it makes beautiful images. I saw a video someone had put up where they had asked ChatGPT, show me what the 7 deadly sins would look like if they were human beings. It was stunning what it had done. It said, show me what it looked like when Satan fell from heaven. Gorgeous pictures, like mind-melting stuff that it was doing. I didn't realize that it could do that ability, right? If you don't know on your own what you think, it's going to tell you what to think. It's going to say this is the way to look at stuff, and someone else is controlling that. So I'm not trying to be paranoid, guys. I'm not telling you hate it. I'm not saying go run in a hole. I'm just saying, make sure you know what you believe. Make sure you know what you want in life. Make sure you know what matters to you, so that when this stuff hits you, it doesn't have an open space to go into. That space is filled with your beliefs, your values, your principles, the things you stand for, and it hits you and it washes off. And don't be one of the people that just get hit. It fills you up, and now you become what the AI is telling you. Am I doing a good job articulating that, Kyle?
Yeah, I think you're doing a really good job of articulating it. And interestingly enough, like, I was thinking of a G.K. Chesterton quote, and he says, this was like way back in what I think the early 1900s or whatever. But he basically said, we are becoming a people who cannot think for ourselves, who take no initiative, who wait for things to be told to us. And if he said that before with the technology that we have, you're absolutely right. Like, we have to know what we believe. The scary thing is, I just used ChatGPT to generate that quote for me. So I couldn't think of what it was off the top of my head. I had heard of it before, and I said, hey, what's the G.K. Chesterton quote, blah, blah, blah. It just spit it out right for us. But absolutely, I think that's the key, is like, we have to actually figure out, what do we believe? And not only what do we believe, but what are our values? And do we trust in ourselves to make the decisions without being influenced not only by other people, because that's what it used to always be, is what other people are saying or what other gurus, but now sort of what technology is saying and the collective mass as a result of that technology.
Yeah, what you make me think about is there's a form of pseudo intelligence that replicates what other people said and tricks yourself into thinking that you now know that thing. So how many people here have never heard the phrase, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Okay. Everyone knows that. It is very easy to believe that you have that knowledge because you can repeat that sentence. And many times people will give this knee-jerk response when someone's like, what do you have to do to improve? Well, step up your network. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And now they think I'm smart. I know something. That doesn't matter. Like, do you have techniques or tricks or strategies to make it easier to get someone that's higher than you to want you to be in their group? Because knowing that information doesn't get you in the door, right? Like, I know that too. So if I'm above you and you come and say, David, I want to get in your world, I was told to improve my circle. I'm like, well, that brings my circle down. I don't want someone coming into my world. I'm trying to get into a higher world, right? And I'm trying to hang out with Mark Cuban, and he's like, bro, like, I don't want you in my world. You're not doing anything to improve. So having the knowledge does nothing to help you apply it. It doesn't actually get you anywhere, right? Like, we have Derek Barton in the group here. He was a professional baseball player. You know how freaking hard it is to hit a baseball at that level? Like, how fast they're throwing it and how much it's moving. Like, you could tell somebody, well, here's the key to a curveball. Look for the dot in the top left corner of it and, you know, anticipate where it's going to be and swing there. But if any of us actually stood up there at the plate and had a pitcher throw even like 80 miles an hour, not even fast, right? It would look like, if I stood there and I watched a guy throw 80 miles an hour, I would think in my head, it is physically impossible to hit that. Okay, like, it cannot happen. There's not a human being alive that could ever hit that ball. And they have guys that are throwing in the 90s and the ball's moving when it's doing that. Okay, like, it is incredibly difficult to actually do that. Knowing the answers is not the same as being able to hit the damn ball. Okay, and like, Chat GPT can give you information. It can tell you what you're supposed to do. Your ability to execute on that information is what determines if you get to play in the big leagues or if you never play baseball. It's what determines if you become friends with Mark Cuban or if he looks at you like the person to stay away. That's what, I guess, my message for everyone here is: don't get sucked into thinking that knowledge is the same as success or execution. Like, someone can tell you, here's a way to go buy houses. You're going to call a bunch of sellers. You're going to say the script. You're going to find someone that wants to sell their house. You're going to propose a subject to solution for this. You're going to take over their mortgage. Here's all the information about subject to works. None of that matters unless you can find a person that's in a lot of distress and is willing to let you buy their house at a price you want and is willing to do subject to with a person that they don't know, trusting that you're going to take over the payments, and doesn't have anyone in their life that tells them, don't do this, which is what I would say. I'd say, no, don't sell your house to this person who is going to supposedly make your payments for you, because if they stop making them, there's nothing you can do, right? Is it a bad strategy? No. Is it easy to execute? Absolutely not. Does it sound that way when you tell somebody, this is how you hit a fastball, this is how you hit a curveball, this is how you hit a forkball, this is how you hit an off-speed pitch? Okay, I can recite all that crap too. I can tell you guys a lot about jiu-jitsu. To tell you a lot about jiu-jitsu. Getting on the mat and actually rolling with me is a completely different feeling. I was just telling someone about that at a Lake Tahoe GoBundance trip. Like, there is a form of knowledge that you get when you're doing jiu-jitsu, and if any of you guys practice, you get this. When you like touch the other person, okay, like, there's a guy there that's a black belt. And I was telling a couple of my buddies, I don't think you guys know any of them, like, there's this experience I've had that's like nothing else. If they were like, yeah, you guys should fight because David's bigger and like he's a black belt, so like, let's see who wins. I was like, it's not a fight. Like, if I just grab him and he grabs me, there's this information that passes between our brains through like this kinetic knowledge that I can tell I can't beat him. I don't know how to explain this to you guys. It's not a lack of confidence. It is a way that he is managing distance, putting pressure on me, moving a step or two or three ahead of whatever I'm doing, that I know he knows what I'm going to do. I can't stop him. It is a matter of time before he's going to just destroy me. And he knows the same thing. He can tell when he grabs me, my weight should have shifted a little bit. I should have moved. I shouldn't be standing this way. He doesn't have to think in his head. He feels it. There's a knowledge that is not something that you can read in a book. That's what I'm getting at, right? That's real knowledge. That is a black belt understanding of jiu-jitsu. He would have to think to articulate how he knew, but he wouldn't have to think when he touched me. He would just know immediately, right? And there's things in life that work that way when you're really good at it. If you're a boxer and you get in the ring with someone who never boxes, they just get a lot of bar fights, you can tell they're not managing distance right, or they're too slow. Or when they get ready to throw a punch, you should have already been shifting your weight in a different way. You're not moving your head. They don't have to ask questions. They could feel you're not there. Like Kyle and I could probably do with basketball. I literally can watch a guy in a basketball court. If you didn't play basketball, you see 10 guys out there. You know who the big one is and maybe who the tall one is and who the fast one is. We can look at them. I can watch them dribble a ball 4 or 5 times and shoot maybe twice. And I can tell you right away how often they play, how good they are, what level they probably played at. It's amazing what I could tell you about that one person just from watching them, because I have like a library of information in my head that tells me what a basketball player should look like. And that he probably only got to this distance, if that's what his shot looks like, or that's what his ball handle looks like, or these are the habits that we see on the floor. Okay. Like if you played at a good college, you don't catch the ball and stand straight up and down right away. You see that, you're like, that's something you get away with at open gyms when no one plays defense and like no one's trying to stop you. Right off the bat, I can tell if you're good. I want you guys pursuing your wealth building journey, your skill building journey, your real estate building journey with that understanding that that's what you're looking for. You are not going to find Chat GPT to give you information and do the job for you. And the things it can do for you, it's doing for everyone else. So you don't have an advantage. What it will never be able to do is give the black belt the feeling he gets when he grabs me. You earn that. He's done it for like 12 years. And he has black belts in like other disciplines. He has put in massive time and effort becoming a black belt. Like when we become black belts, it does not matter what the technology does. Okay. It can only help you, but don't think that this is your way around going through the progression of becoming a black belt. Like you're not going to go from white belt to black belt because you're enabled by Chat GPT. It is not Tony Stark's suit of armor that's just going to turn you into Iron Man the minute that you get it.
I think you nailed it. I mean, that was the point I was trying to make, is it's just going to make you more of what you already are. You know what I mean? So if people aren't applying themselves and doing stuff the correct way, a lot of that's going to come out in the next little bit when this is applied. Every industry that uses this is going to have a higher barrier of entry, because in order to survive, companies and people are going to have to require more to show that what you know and what you can do is even applicable anymore. Because if everybody has Chat GPT, then everybody can do X amount of things in whatever industry. So there's going to have to be, I mean, specialized labor is actually going to be a thing that comes back into the market in a lot of industries, I think, which will be really interesting, because you're going to get rid of a lot of the, like if you own a labor service business, kind of like I do with the landscaping, you know that you just have to write off. You're never going to see a portion of that money for the very fact of having to have laborers on your staff. A lot of that is going to go away, but on the same token, I now have to have a higher standard for who I hire, for people that they're not coming to me and saying all the right things for how to run a mower, how to estimate a property, how to, yada, 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 whatever it is, because now anybody can do that. So yeah, I think you nailed it.
No, your problem is going to be, does AI create a Roomba that can also cut grass, and it can measure like where the distance is, and it can edge it, and now you
already happened, my friend.
Right? So now the value is not in actually cutting the grass and putting in the time. Everyone thinks their time is valuable. It's not. Your time is never valuable. It's your skill applied to that time, right? Like if you look at Derek Barton up there at the plate, how fast does it take a ball to leave a pitcher's hand to get to the plate? That's the time he's getting paid for. All the stuff between there is complete useless time. Is what can you do in that 1/10 of a second of the time that ball is going, right? Like, so for you, it's going to be, can I build relationships with my clients and understand what they want and how to streamline this around what's convenient for them? So when I drop my Roomba off, it's better than them thinking that they're just going to buy their own, right? I like Rizky's sentence, and I just want to share this with you guys. I don't know why, because I know that this isn't real estate related, but I feel it's important. When you get around somebody that is a black belt, right? So like we grab each other. Rizky takes a couple seconds and he could feel like, okay, this is what David's like. And he knows he's going to beat me. And so he probably goes way down and isn't going to like break my neck. Right. And I'm probably going to go way up because I'm like, oh shit. Like I can feel he's really good. Like he doesn't feel the way that I'm used to guys that I normally, other white belt would feel. You also feel something about yourself. And that's really powerful too. Like, remember I said, if I stood at the plate and I saw a major league pitcher throw a ball at just 80 miles an hour, 85, I would think that is impossible to hit. You become very aware of your own level when you get around somebody else that has mastered something. So if I was to grab Rizky and Rizky grab me, or is it Rizky? I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong there. I would also be very aware of my own rigidness, my own lack of experience, right? Like the thing that sucks when like your professor in the academy or a black belt's like, hey, do you want to roll? You're not allowed to say no. You have to say yes if a higher belt asks you. You're just like hoping to God that they're a nice one and they're not just going to destroy you, right? Because like there's a short period of time where you might be able to out muscle them if I'm just way stronger. And then I get tired and then I'm just like, it's a cat with a mouse. They're just going to toy with me, right? The minute we touch each other, they feel loose and I'm aware of my own rigidness. They feel relaxed and I'm aware of my own tension. They feel smooth and I'm aware of my own stiffness. Like, I don't know how to describe what this is. It's a form of knowledge that's not just something you read on a screen or you get in a book. There are other kinds of knowledge. And then I know, almost like I had started having thoughts go through my head what I should be doing. I need to be working on shrimp drills more. I need to be working on my form. I need to be working on something. Like, I need to be able to break grips better. Just his very grip on my gi, he's moving me all over the place, and I don't like how helpless that I feel. You realize what you need to do different. Okay, guys, that's the feeling I want everyone who listens to this chasing. I don't want you to look at deals, put them in Chat GPT and say, would it work or would it not work? That is not real knowledge. And you're vulnerable if you give that out. I've looked at enough real estate deals that if you guys put a deal on the screen and I could ask you a handful of questions about the market, I could tell you if it would work, if it would not work, why it would work, and why it wouldn't work, almost as fast as I could tell you about the guy dribbling the basketball. Okay? Chase that knowledge. That is not something that can be replicated. That is not something that you're going to be vulnerable towards. Now, if ChatGPT can help you get there faster, hell yeah, right? I watch YouTube videos of jujitsu guys. That helps me learn faster. It gives me an idea. Yeah, it will assist me in the journey. It is not replacing it. It doesn't matter how much jujitsu videos I watch. It is, I got to go and do the repetitive motion over and over and over and over and over until it becomes a thing of kinetic knowledge, right? That is true in relationships. That is true in a lot of areas in life. ChatGPT or any form of tech will never be able to replicate it. And if I can get you guys to fill your mind with the desire for that type of knowledge, you will not be led astray. You will not be tricked. You will not be deceived. This stuff won't come in and tell you what to think. You will not become an NPC in the game that we are all playing. That's what my fear is. Okay. You will become a character on a hero's journey who is moving through this. And then I won't have as much paranoia about what ChatGPT is going to do to the world. Kyle, how's our likes doing?
I can't see it. So someone let us know how our likes are doing, but I think we need some more, especially after that talk. I mean, you guys are going to have to go back and listen to that again, because I mean, the nuggets that were in there were absolutely valuable and really good. I love Paula says, "Hey guys, I'm late." She just joined, but I'm glad you're still here. Paula, we are always here for you.
Bienvenidos, amiga.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. That's why we spend so much time doing these things, because we really want you guys to get a ton of value out of this. And so if you are enjoying it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep bringing these types of talks to the world. To me, it's a lot of fun. So, Mark, we appreciate you coming on, my friend. You stay safe out there snowboarding, and thanks for your valuable insight.
Appreciate you both and your time. Have a good night.
See you, man. And I did want to say, in terms of we plugged this earlier. If you are just joining us, like Paula, I'm going to drop a link in here, and I want you guys to sign up if you get a chance. There's this thing called DG's World that David's putting out. It's basically David Greene's World, and it is a Discord server, and David's giving you access to it for free. And you may ask, well, what's a Discord server? A Discord server essentially is a big chat application that you can go in, and you can use it for free. It's going to be something that people are paid, that they have to pay to use, but for a limited time for tonight, because you're here hanging out with us during this live, all you have to do is go put your name, your email address in there, and we will send you free access once it's available. But this is your opportunity to go in and actually talk to members of the David Greene team, real estate agents, lenders, experts with the new insurance company that they have coming out. Really, David's going to be on there hanging out. I'm going to be on there answering questions, talking to you about a lot of the questions that you have. I know a lot of people come to this live and they've got, a million different questions. Should I buy this BRRRR? Should I not? Is this a good deal? Is this not? Is this a good interest rate? Is this not? This Discord server that you're going to have access to is a great opportunity to go in and connect with those industry experts, people that have been trained by David himself. I've been trained by David on a lot of these things. And so it's a great opportunity to go in there and get that information. So make sure you do it. I think we got about 70 something people. I see some more responses coming in right now. So awesome. Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's an exciting thing, because it's a way that people can share where they're buying and what's not working, right? I thought if I bought in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, I was going to crush it. It hasn't been working, right? I thought this short-term rental in this market would be great. I've been struggling with it. What do you guys think I could do? So you get to learn where not to buy, what not to do, what isn't happening. Because when you listen to a podcast or you listen to social media, it's the beginning of someone's funnel, guys. I'm just being completely honest. I don't own Bigger Pockets, but they're a business. They have to make money somehow. The podcast is the beginning of a funnel that at some way that company is going to be trying to make money, whether it's from ad revenue or selling products or selling a membership or selling something, right? Everything you see on social media is the beginning of a funnel. There is no free content. So what happens is when you're listening to someone's social media, like Chris Crone that we just heard, or any of your favorite influencers, they are going to shine up their product, their service, the way they do things, their results, in order to make it very appealing to you so that you give them some form of payment, which could be money, which could be follows, which could be likes. That in the social media world, currency is attention. And the more currency they get, the more people see it. And then someone's going to buy it. That's how this works. So you never, ever, ever are going to get brass tacks for something for free. A group like this is going to be very cheap, but you will be able to see, when I say very cheap, I guess that's subjective. If you're in Venezuela, it might not feel cheap, but for like what you're used to seeing, it's going to be very cheap. But that means you're getting the raw, real stuff. The loan officers are going to be telling you, yeah, that's a great rate. We can't beat it. Or no, we could beat that rate. Or tell your loan officer you should try this. Or have you tried working at it this angle? Other investors are going to be able to say, here's the property manager that I'm using for whatever it is that I'm doing. But you guys, it will be free. Because you're here on the live, you're giving your Friday night. I like to reward people, and I would be nice to get like a collective group of people in there before we actually launch it. So there's going to be more stuff like that coming out. But what I can guarantee you, no matter what group it is, if it's Spartan League, if it's a retreat we're going to be doing in Scottsdale, if it's DG's World, if it's any, like at some point I'll probably make courses to teach people the Burr method and long distance investing and house hacking and whatever. There will never come a time where I tell you guys, if you do this course, you're guaranteed to get a result. If you pay this money, you're going to get an ROI of 10x that, right? That is not what makes people successful. Derek Barton could never say, David, if you listen to me teach you how to hit a baseball, you can go up there and you can hit a Mariano Rivera two-seam fastball. No. I got to put the work in, a lot of work, if I ever even want to hope to be able to do something like that. And wealth building is not different. If you build the skills, wealth just comes. It does. If you become the right person with the right habits and the right attitudes, wealth finds you. It's a process that just happens, okay? If you look for a way around that, you will be chasing it your whole life and you're never going to catch it. There is no really strong person that goes to the gym and avoids lifting weights because they think that there is a way to get muscles without it. Now, there's a way to look like it. There's actually muscle implants. If you guys didn't know that, you can get calf implants. You can get bicep implants. Like, I'm wondering how many people are doing that and we don't know it, right? There's a way to get liposuction, I suppose, but getting liposuction doesn't actually improve your cardio. And getting muscle implants doesn't actually improve your strength. And a lot of the people that you're listening to don't have the net worth that you think they do. They don't have the cash flow that you think they do. They've got muscle implants, okay? The only way to get stronger is what, Kyle?
Workout.
That's it. You got to lift the freaking weight. So rather than telling you don't have to lift weights, I'd rather put a program together to teach you how to lift them. I'd rather get in the gym with you to encourage you to lift it. I'd rather surround you by other people like Kyle that are also lifting wealth building weights. I'd rather bring the other people from my world, the agents, the loan officers, whoever, that are all specialists in different forms of working out. They can help improve your form on the machine or keep you encouraged. Or that's because he only throws cutters. That would be a bad. That's funny that Derek's saying that because I said two-seam fastball. Okay. Well, in my head, that's a form of a cutter, but that's because I'm not a professional baseball player. Yeah, I'd rather surround you with the pieces that you need to be successful, guys. So if you don't like the stuff I'm telling you and you want to go for some other guru's course that's going to tell you the easy way to do it, just come back to us when it doesn't work. We'll be here with open arms to help you to get stronger. But I think you would be much better off to learn the fundamentals at a appropriate level and build up from there. So thank you guys for joining us. Kyle, thank you very much for putting this entire thing together. You're becoming better and better as a producer as we do this. It's not a coincidence that the repetition of these is making it a better show.
That's right, man. Get in the gym, go work it out. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. David, I want to end it with one knock-knock joke. Can I do it?
Only if we talk about the retreat very quickly too. Guys, if you've been on the fence about it, please just go check out davidgreene24.com/retreats. It's in my property in Scottsdale I have with Rob. It's going to be a great time. we sold out last time. We haven't put the email out to my database, but when we do, they usually go pretty quick. I'd rather have it from you people that I'm interacting with than people that I don't know. So check that out. And now, Kyle, there's a lot of pressure on you for a knock joke. If this joke makes you laugh, then you got to go check out that website.
Yeah, and by the way, go check out the website. And if you guys have a question, like I said, reach out to me. Reach out to me on DM me on Instagram. It's just my name, Kyle Renke. And I'd love to hop on a discovery call with you and just walk you through like what it's all about, what the last one was about, what you can expect from this one, and what goes into it. Because it really is a great opportunity and just going to be a good time. All right, David, are you ready? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Little old lady.
Is this an LOL joke? Little old lady who?
I didn't know you knew how to yodel.
Not bad at all.
All right, there we go. I had to just put that one to work.
Does your son tell you these, or do you like ask Chat GPT to tell you knock?
I did not ask Chat GPT. These are just some of the most favorite ones I've either used on him, he's used on me, that I've like just kind of stored away in the memory center, man.
Nice, man. You want to tell them the joke? Oh, let me text it to you real quick before we go, because I don't want to give away the punchline.
Okay. Yeah.
But this is one that I always remember you saying.
Oh gosh, yeah. Do I remember that one? We might have to save that one because I can't remember the build up.
Maybe next Friday you can remember it. You just remember the punchline too, huh?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay, so we got a joke. We got a joke on board for next Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to have to think that one. We got it on board. We're going to leave everyone in suspense until then. Again, go check out the retreat page. Go sign up for DG's World in the link that I dropped down there. We hope everybody has a great week, and we will see everyone next week. Later.
All right, guys.